This conference will now be recorded.
Here we go. Now we're recording. um, yes, I want to say thank you to you all for participating. I have some common questions to come up with both subaward report as well as the data reporting that you're required to do for your VOCA subgrant. I want to thank Jan here with Mississippi Public Health Institute for setting this all up and assisting us in providing this technical assistance to you. And I'm going to kick it off or kick it over to our three VOCA program directors who are going to be tag teaming with this presentation today. Wanda Woods, D'Angela Matori, and Kanya Gallian are all going to be taking different sections of this and presenting this to you. So as you guys start talking, just kind of introduce yourselves. And what we'd like to do format-wise is, as we're going along, if you have questions, you can either type them in the chat, or you can wait until later, and at the very end of it, we will take questions via phone. So if you have something that comes up, later on that you want to address that did not get addressed, we'll be monitoring, Jane will be monitoring the questions as they come in, and we'll try and get all of those addressed. What we will do is the recording of this webinar will be made available, as well as a list of the questions and answers, so that any individuals who were not able to attend today's training, or even you guys, if you want to refresh your memories, can go back and look at that recording or view that PowerPoint again. So with that being said, I am going to turn it over to, who's first? Me. Wanda. All right. And just y'all remember, keep in mind to keep your phones on mute until the end. We don't have a conference phone, so we can't mute all the lines from this end today. So you'll have to do that on your own. And just remember at the end, if you want to unmute, or we won't.
Good evening. I'm Wanda Woods. I am the Program Director for VOCA North. Today I will be discussing the Performance Measurement Tool User Guide, VOCA Victim Assistance Grant Program Subgrantee. I'm going to talk to you about the first part in this PMT. The contents we will be discussing are overview and purpose of the user guide, assessing and logging into the PMT, the administration section features, entering the subgrant award report, preparing the subgrantee data report, and troubleshooting tips and additional resources.
Recorded.
Okay, on the screen, we're now discussing the overview of the user guide. The performance measurement tool, which we know, and I'm going to be throwing out acronyms as well. So if you don't understand, please let me know, but we're going to discuss definitions as well, which we call the PMT, collects performance measurement data on a quarterly basis. Your grantee will determine your quarterly due dates for entering data into the PMT. And the due date that we have talked about each quarter is the 15th of the following month to report that quarter. The purpose of this user guide is to instruct the Office for Victims of Crime, which we call OVC, PMT users on the following: how to assess and navigate the PMT, actions to ensure your report is correctly submitted, and troubleshooting steps for errors that users may encounter. The roles of the subgrantees. As a subgrantee, your role in performance measurement reporting includes the following: identifying individuals who need systems access and understanding what data the grantee will need you to enter into the system, contributing information to the subgrantee award report, which we call the SR, if directed by the grantee, entering performance measures quarterly if directed by the grantee, clarifying and updating response to any inquiries from the grantee. PMT definitions are as follows. Performance management, the regular collection of data in a systematic manner to assess program outputs and outcomes, showcase program results, and improve program performance. The reporting system, which is the PMT performance measurement tool, the online system maintained by the Office of Victims of Crime, which is OVC, for collecting performance measure data from the subgrantees and the grantees. The grants management system, the online data collection system maintained by the Office of Justice Programs, which is OJP, for all grants administered through OJP. GMS is the priority system of record for information about these grants. The grantee, these are the parties that are involved in the PMT. The primary grant recipient of funds directly from the Office for Victims of Crime. The subgrantee or the subrecipient, an entity that receives a portion of grant funding through a formal agreement with the grantee. The grantees are required to monitor subgrantees to ensure subgrant funds are properly spent. The state administrative agency, the grantee, the state office responsible for receiving funds and reporting data. The SAR, Subgrant Award Report. This report collects information about the subgrantee organization, the length of the subawards, and the activities to be implemented by the subgrantee, and the allocation of the grant funds. The subgrantee data report. This report collects information quarterly on victims served with the Victims of Crime Act, which is VOCA, plus matching funds, including victim demographics, types of victimizations, and the services provided. The annual grantee report. This report collects the information on victims served with Victims of Crime Act, plus the matching funding over a federal fiscal year, which is October through September for the federal fiscal year. Our fiscal year is July 1 through June 30th. The report is a PDF document that the PMT automatically generates after all data entry is complete. Okay, now we're going to talk about assessing and logging into the PMT program. Grantees will determine if subgrantees will enter data into the PMT. Grantees will establish their processes and timelines for subgrantee data entry and review. The grantees will set up user accounts for subgrantee users by entering their contact information into the PMT. The system will then send the subgrantee user an email to set up a password and complete the account set process. Each individual user must have his or her own unique login to access the system for security purposes. Now, you guys do understand who the subgrantee and the grantee is, right? Okay. The grantee will set up the user grant, which that is us, OAIB, and the subgrantees are yourself. Okay? Make sure they get that right. Logging into the PMT. Visit the PMT website at this address, and you see that address that's listed above. Enter your username and your password. The username is the user's email address. If the grantee provides you with access to the PMT, you will receive an email from OVC PMT with instructions on creating a new user account. If you forget your password, enter your username, your email address, and leave the password field blank. Select Forgot Password, enter and submit the answer to your challenge question. If this is correct, the PMT will send you an email with a link to create a new password. And your password must be at least 12 characters and contain upper and lowercase letters, one number, and one special character. Updating your user account and changing your password. Account button to update your login information. Look at that image 1 to the side. Select the change password, which is in image 2. Please remember to adhere to the password guidelines that are shown on the screen. The OVC PMT homepage. On the OVC PMT homepage, you can view information and resources as well as the reporting schedule. The main navigation menu. OVC PMT Home, general information about your award and reports, administration, list of subawards, and user information associated with your award. The SAR is the data entry pages for all subgrant award reports associated with your award. Enter data. Data entry pages for the quarterly subgrantee data report. Reports. List current and past reports and their status. Need help. Resources for using the PMT and submitted feedback and questions. And your log out, it logs you out of the PMT system. Okay, now we will change over to our next presenter for you.
Good afternoon. I am D'Angela Mattori, and I am the program director with the Central location. And I will be talking to you about the administration section features. And in the administration section features, you will notice that you have your federal award list. And on this award list, under your administration tab, you can view a list of your state's federal awards as well as your sub-awards. And your sub-awards can show up on the list, and this would be under your sub-grant award report, your SAR, which Wanda mentioned earlier, and it must have the sub-award amount listed. The list of current users displays all users for your organization. Your organization should manage their users. One of the things that I will point out in that is that the users that you identified that can go into the system, it needs to be somebody who will be sort of a backup person for your organization to make sure that if for some reason the ED person is not able to get in, that they do have a backup person as well. You may delete users who are no longer with your organization or engaged in PMT data entry. You make sure that you do that because you don't want to have somebody who still has access to the system who is no longer with your agency. So if for some reason somebody has retired, they've decided to leave the organization, make sure that that's one of the things that you check to be sure that they're no longer a user in the PMT reporting system. You may add individuals who should have access for data entry and review purposes. So you want, as I said earlier, you make sure that you have somebody in there who actually needs to have access. The next thing is your entering sub-grant award reports. Periodically, when you're going in and entering your data for your PMT reporting, you'll notice that at the top of it, it does kind of give you a disclaimer that after 30 minutes that you'll be kicked out of the system. So you make sure that when you're in there entering your data, that you're entering it and you're clicking save so that you don't lose any of your information as you're entering that information in. You want to make sure that you're able to get everything in a timely manner. So make sure that you utilize that save button. If you've entered something and somebody may walk into your office, you may get sidetracked, go ahead and hit your save button so that it does not time you out and you don't have to go back in and re-enter all that activity. Also make note that simply entering the data in a field does not constitute as activity. The system will only recognize saving or the advancement to another page as activities that will keep your session active. Make sure that you click the exit data entry button to close and exit the page. Note that any data not previously saved, as I stated earlier, will be lost. And again, time is of an essence, so we don't want to waste any time, so make sure that you utilize your save button. Your list below these are some quick tips for navigating through the PMT process. One thing is that when you're utilizing your numbers in areas where you have to enter numbers or you're clicking for, excuse me, for your victimization, you can hover it and it will give you an explanation on the question as well. You must enter a numeric value in all fields marked number. No other value will be accepted, so make sure that you're entering a number where it's a numeric value. and make sure that you're entering a letter when it's an alpha value. Answer all applicable questions on the page, then press the Save and Continue button, and then to go back and reselect any data, select the Save and Continue button to ensure that the data already entered into the system is saved. Again, as I said earlier, the response option, NA not applicable, is only allowed if you need to indicate that the variable is not applicable to the state's program or crime type. And if you hover it, it will let you know whether or not that actually identifies that where you're trying to put that information. The response option NT, not tracked, is only allowed if you need to indicate that the state's laws or regulations allow the type of service, but you are unable to collect this data during the reporting period due to the need to change the data collection system. The response option 0 is only allowed if you need to indicate a true value of 0. A true value of 0 means that the state has the ability to collect and does provide for that expense type. However, there is no data to submit for the reporting period. And one thing that I will address about that, the 0 option only needs to be utilized if that is the determination. That is, even though you may think that, okay, I can't report it, but unless it identifies with that and says that the state has the ability to collect it, but there is no way, does not provide an expense type, then we need to have a number, not a 0. Entering sub-grant award report data. A sub-grant award report, SAR, is required for each sub-grant that implements programming with VOCA plus match funding. Please make sure that you see the sub-grant award report, the FNAQ document for details on when those SARs are required. However, only one sub-grantee performance data report is required for each sub-grantee organization. So the SAR Part 1, which is questions 1 through 6, the sub-award information, this is completed by the grantee, which is us. The SAR Part 2, questions 7 through 11, the information about the sub-grantee, and may be completed by the grantee or sub-grantee, which is you all. I will say that once questions 1 through 6 are completed by the OAIV office, you will receive a notification stating that you are allowed to go in and do the Part 2. And also an email should have been sent out to you all requesting some information, and we need that information back in by August the 5th. So if you have not gotten that email, please contact our office so that we can make sure we get that information out to you. The sub-grant award report. Under this tab, you'll find a list of the SARs for each of the sub-awards. You will then select the sub-award for which you want to enter the data. So make sure that when you're going into here that you are clicking the correct one for the correct year. Only your grantee can enter data in the SAR, as I stated earlier, which is ourselves. And you can select the SAR Part 1 to see the data that has already been entered by us.
And that's just correct. Also, when they do look at that, if they see something that's incorrect, let us know so that we can edit it.
Okay. And Heather just stated that if there's some information in there that we need to edit, please make sure that you contact our office so that we can make those corrections at that time. SAR Part 2, the sub-grantee information, which is questions 7 through 11. The grantees are able to allow the sub-grantees to enter this data in Part 2, and we will allow you all to enter certain information after we've submitted the other information that we've received from you all. One thing that Heather did want to point out is that in question 9, section F, everybody needs to make sure that they check this off, since we are VOCA and this is a requirement. In question 8, make sure that you enter in the values of your in-kind cash and your total match funding provided. And there is a sample project budget shown here. The match must be 20% of the total project budget. And as you'll see in the pie chart to the right, it says if the sub-grant award is awarded $30,000, then the match requirement is $7,500. And of course, consult with your SAA regarding any options for a match waiver.
And if they've gotten match waivers, they need to just indicate that in there and what the amount they're able to match.
And if you did receive a match waiver, make sure that you indicate the amount of the match. And in questions 11A and 11B, please make that you indicate the total budget and sources for all of the sub-grantee programs and your services for your agency's current fiscal year. Please be sure to refer to your sub-grant award report on your FAQs for additional details and the sources of funding. And as I stated earlier, if you hover in certain areas, it'll kind of give you an indication of what they're actually, the answer that they're expecting for in that box. In question 11.C through 11.F, indicate the number of positions, i.e. your staff members, supporting all sub-grantee programs and the number of their hours funded by VOCA plus your match. Also indicate the number of volunteer staff as well as your volunteer hours. Again, please refer to your sub-grant award report, FAQ, for your additional guidance on calculating the number of positions as well as your hours and how to prorate your data if the staff are supported by VOCA as well as other non-VOCA funds. Then once you've saved your data for your SAR Part 2, you will be brought to the SAR review page. Within this page, you can review all SAR data entered by both the grantee as well as your sub-grantee to confirm its accuracy. And please make sure that you look at this from top to bottom, so if there are any discrepancies, like Heather said earlier, you can contact us and we can make those corrections before anything is submitted. Once your data entry is complete, be sure to select the Save button. You will then receive a message stating that your data has been certified. Notify your grantee will then be able to review the SAR data and click the radio button approving the SAR. So once you've completed your part and we receive our notification, we'll make sure that everything's good, then we'll go ahead and approve you. And I am going to pass it off to Ms. Konya Gallion now.
Good afternoon. This is Konya Gallion. I am the Program Director for the Southern Region, and I will be discussing preparing the sub-grantee data report. Okay, your role as a sub-grantee is to enter the data in the PMT, which includes collecting the data for all performance measures listed in the PMT. Also, consider using the sub-grantee data tracking template to collect and aggregate the data on individual victims served, and also on reporting. Report data on a quarterly basis. Follow state processes and deadlines for submitting performance data. Communication. Contact the SAA if there are any questions about how to report data. Look for emails from your SAA and the OB PMT help desk with reminders and information. And respond to inquiries from the SSA about the data input. Reporting schedule for subgrantees. Your quarterly reporting in your PMT. The first reporting period is October 1 through December 31st, and your submission period is January through February 15th. The contents will be your performance measures, and our deadline is February 15th. Their deadline.
No, wait.
Oh, it says OBC deadline.
our deadline to have it completed and reviewed is the 15th,
15th,
right?
okay.
So theirs is the January 15th,
January
so that we
15th.
have time to review it.
Okay.
Right.
So, correction. Your deadline would be January 15th, and our deadline would be February 15th. So you need to have it in by January 15th, and so on and so forth with the other reporting periods. They all will be the 15th. And if there's any questions, please feel free to ask us at the end of the session. Also, it's important to remember to only report on activities that occurred during the reporting period. And also clarify any internal due dates with your SSA and any internal due dates for data entries. States billed in time to review, clarify, and approve subgrantee data prior to the OVC report due date. Performance measures. Once your data is entered and has been approved by us, the subgrantee will then be able to complete their performance measures data entry in the subgrantee data report. Select the Enter Data tab and a drop-down list will appear with reporting periods. Select the reporting period for which you want to enter data. Also, when you get to this performance measure screen, this section will be completed each reporting period. Users can navigate to different data entry screens by clicking the secondary menu bar above the data entry fields. Please refer to your subgrantee data report questions for more detailed information about the subgrantee performance measures. Data entry reminders. All fields marked number will only accept numeric values as Nangela stated before. Underlined text within the PMT is a hyperlink to a definition that will appear when you click or hover over it. Number of individuals served. This section is also completed each reporting period. Enter the total number of individuals served during the reporting period and the number of anonymous contacts. See the performance guarantee report, June 2017. The document for definitions of individuals served and anonymous contacts. Each number of new individuals served for the first time during the reporting period. All individuals served will be counted as new during the first period of the subaward. Check the box if you cannot track new individuals. Right, the first time the new period will be July, correct? Okay.
Because that's a change from the past.
Right, okay.
So just to clarify, for purposes of this year and from here on out, the first quarter is the July through September quarter. So that's when all individuals are counted as new. If those of you who've been VOCA in the past, remember it used to be like the October through December quarter. So that is a big change.
Okay. That's okay. I don't want to confuse them right now. If they have any questions. Population demographics. Question 5. Enter demographics for only new individuals served. The total for each demographic category, i.e. race, ethnicity, gender identity, must equal the total of new individuals identified in question 3. Use the not tracked or not reported options as appropriate. See slide 22 of this user guide for the performance measures. Subgrantee data report dated June 2017 for the definitions of these terms. Question 6. Enter the types of victimizations presented by all individuals served and anonymous contacts. List all types of victimizations presented by each individual. The direct services part. Enter the number of individuals who receive services in this category. Report the number of individuals who receive each category of service, which is item 1. Report the number of times each subcategory of service is provided. When you add the subcategory occurrences, A1, A2, or A3 plus A4, you would add those all. You would total those. They should be equal or greater than the number of people who receive services. Performance measures. After completing the data, after you've entered the data, you will be prompted to go to the Review tab. Subgrantees can review all data entered in the previous tabs. Any fields missing data will be marked required. You must go back and enter data in any flagged fields before the system will allow you to mark your data as complete. Subgrantee annually reported performance measures. The subgrantee annually report questions tab will appear during the July through September reporting period. These questions only need to be answered once per year. Enter all data, then select, save, and continue to complete your data entry. Completing the report for our review. When you finish your data entry, you will be prompted to go to the Review tab. Under this tab, you can review all the data you entered. If there are any missing fields, they will be marked as required, and you will need to enter the data in that field before continuing. Once your data is complete, click the Mark Data Entry as complete. Click the Mark Data Entry as complete button and then save. There's an important note. Once subgrantee selects save, the report will be locked. If you need to unlock your report, you can contact us, the director in your region. We can unlock it. You can unlock it by accessing the Complete and in Progress tab on the Reports page of your PMT account. Lastly, reports. After saving the data, the report will be automatically submitted through the PMT to your SSA for review. SAA for review. The PMT will also create a performance data report in PDF format for your records. Under the Reports tab, you can also create PDFs to your data entry in previous reporting periods.
Now we will discuss some of AOIV required reports. One of the required reports is your quarterly subgrantee project progress report. Your monthly report. Okay. Well, I'm discussing the quarterly subgrantee project progress report. First thing on there is subgrantee name, your award number, which will be given to you in your award letter, project director, telephone number, email address, funding source, and your reporting period. Also on this form is your progress report. It lists down at the center of the form the goal 1, the objective 1 activity, your objective 2 in your activity. This form gives you or us more detail of what you have, the work, the goals, objectives, and the activities that you've done during the quarterly reporting period. You want to discuss something? Okay.
Sorry, I can't keep my mouth shut. This is Heather. I just wanted to point out the form is editable. You can add pages if you need additional information. You may only have one goal and objective, and that's fine. Don't think that because we've put multiple objectives on here that you need to have multiple objectives. They need to reflect your objectives that were and goals that were outlined in your proposal to us, and as in your subgrant agreement. And this is just so that we can more effectively determine your progress, to determine if you need any assistance or you're having some difficulty with reaching some of your objectives, that we can help you to troubleshoot on that. It just helps us to better understand the work that you are doing, because the sheer numbers that you submit in your data report don't tell the full story, and we realize that. So this allows us to and it also allows us to respond back to OVC as far as how we're doing, how our subgrantees are excelling at what you're doing. So that's the reason that we have added this form. Again, it's a quarterly form. It doesn't have to be done every month. And there are instructions on the back page of it that kind of clarify everything that needs to go in there. In addition to the objectives and goals, we also want you to tell us what your challenges and barriers are, things that you're having difficulty with. You had planned to work with a new group of victims, and you might not find somebody qualified for the position that you're looking for, or you may run up to some barriers where the local United Way drops your funding. Those are kinds of things that we're looking for in those challenges and barriers. We also kind of want to know your success stories, things that you really were able to accomplish. You created an innovative approach. You took a new direction to reaching an underserved population that really worked. Those are the kinds of success stories that we're looking, not only so that we can share those with other subgrantees to say, hey, look at what this group did. Maybe you can replicate it in your community, but also so that we can share that with OVC, because we are also required in our annual report to talk about things that have been challenges and barriers to implementing these programs in our state, and also success stories. These quarterly reports are due the 20th of the month following the end of the quarter, and they're submitted via that smart sheet. The form is a smart sheet. Have they been sent the form already? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you guys have the form, and it is submitted via that link that you've been provided for Smartsheet.
And by some chance, if you don't remember this form or you've lost the link, please give your program director a call, and we'll be glad to forward it to you.
And now this is D'Angela again. I'm kind of going to jump back in here and discuss the monthly activity report. We know it doesn't really have a whole lot to do with the PMT reporting, but we kind of wanted to put it back out there to let you guys know that the activities that you list on your activity report kind of coincide with your goals that you're looking to get accomplished in your organization. So when your individuals are turning in their activity reports, try to I know you can't look at everything and every little detail of what they put on there, but try to make sure that what they're doing is really actually meeting those goals that you all are trying to accomplish, and that they're meeting the VOCA goals. If they are strictly VOCA, their hours need to say that, yes, everything that I did that day was VOCA. If they are, kind of split between other funding sources, then make sure that the activities that they list, we know that those are VOCA activities. So I just kind of wanted to put that back out there and kind of give a reminder to everybody. I know we mentioned it in the big meeting on last month, but I kind of wanted to make sure that everybody remembered that when you're listing these activities, it needs to be substantial activities for the funding that you're receiving. And so now we're going to turn it back over to Kanya, and she's going to talk to you about some troubleshooting.
Good afternoon. I know sometimes the system gives us errors, or you have trouble getting into the system. So here are some general troubleshooting steps. If you encounter a systems error, log on to your PMT account and log out of your PMT account and log in again using the same browser. Try to access your report from a different browser, Internet Explorer, Firefox, or Google Chrome. Clear the cache and cookies on your browser. Restart your computer. Access the PMT during non-peak periods such as early in the morning or late in the afternoon or evening. Ensure that JavaScript is enabled on your computer. And if you need any help, you can go to the help page. And on the help page is performance measures. It has a list of all performance measures with explanations. Subgrantee data tracking template, a tool to help you collect data. Frequently asked questions provides additional information on reporting performance measures. The PMT user guide, it includes tips for navigating through the PMT system. And last but not least, training materials allows you to watch recordings and view presentations about reporting performance measures. And here's some additional information. If you need help and you can't, if neither of those troubleshooting techniques work, you can contact the OVC PMT Help Desk Monday through Friday between 8:30 and 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, or call them toll-free. The number is listed. The number is 1-844-884-2503. And also, if you have any questions relating to your subgrantee award information, performance measures reporting, or state reporting deadlines, please contact your grantee, which is us, or state administrative agency.
Okay, so now that we've ended, we will go ahead and take questions. So if you entered anything in the chat, we will review them and answer the question as needed, or we will open it up for questions now.
Okay, we have one. Where is the match waiver amount entered?
It has a little. It has a little tab. It has a little. Yeah. Actually, it is. I've seen it. Go back to. Give me a second so I can find it for you all. It was on the. Part two. And if you look on there, I think, Dawn, that's when you told them to enter it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
It's listed in Part 2, Question 8. We had the question about the match waiver. And again, as I said earlier, if you hover over a lot of those boxes, it'll tell you where that information is listed or where to find it.
Do you think it would be helpful if we got into PMT?
We can.
You finished with that question. When we enter data from July to September, is that our total number?
Yes. Whatever clients you saw during that time frame, that is the number that you will enter in when you report.
That's the same answer for 1 and 3.
Right.
So it'll be the same for 1 and 3.
She wants to go on report itself.
Okay. Someone asked, where is this form? That was back. Is this form being mailed out?
So the FAQ. I'm assuming that's probably the FAQ form.
Okay, not sure what forms you were speaking of. If you can type back in so we'll know exactly. Okay, that's at the quarterly form.
This?
And that's listed in your OVC. And if you'll click at
the quarterly form.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
On
Yes.
the smart sheet.
This should have been in a link from a smart sheet.
And you should have received it in a link with the smart sheet.
But if not,
we'll
If not, we'll go ahead and send it. You can contact whoever your program director is, and we'll get the information out to you.
Okay, and there's a question about, is this session being recorded? And yes, it is being recorded, and it will be posted on one of the MSPHI websites, and you'll receive a link to that, posting probably by the end of the week or the first of next week for sure.
Okay, did you see that?
Where's the information that was requested from the sub-grantees that has to be entered in the OVC PMT, information that we must send back?
Okay, that would have been sent out in an email last week, and it would have been done via smart sheet as well.
well, the quarterly report?
The one that Charlotte made up when we were in the meeting and we were sending it out.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the one that's due back August the 5th.
If you didn't get it, then.
And again, as I stated, if you did not receive it, make sure that you contact our office so we can make sure that we get it out to you.
Tell them.
Someone. When is the sub-grantee training originally scheduled for June 19th being held for those that were unable to attend?
We're still finalizing the recording. We'll let you know. Sorry.
Okay, Terry, I apologize that you are only hearing the responses. These are questions that came out of the chat that were typed during the presentation.
That's all we have. That's all the questions right now, unless there's. Okay, they're just saying they can't hear clearly. Hearing the answers.
Unless she didn't hear what you said.
Maybe she didn't hear what you said about
When the webinar will be
available. When the webinar will be available. We will try to get the one from today posted by the end of the week. And then the session, the orientation session that was in June, that was recorded, that is still being edited, and it has not been posted either. But we will, the program will send emails out to the link for all of these when they become available. Does anyone else have any questions? Anyone on the phone have a question? If they'd like to unmute and answer a question, ask a question at this time. I'll type it in. I think we're good. Y'all want to close it?
When will you send the information that must
We'll send it out today.
Question asked, well, when will you send the information that must be received by August the 5th? We'll send it out to you this evening as soon as we get back to the office. Are there any more questions? At this time, we'd like to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend our webinar today. And if we have not answered your questions or you have additional information, please contact your program directors for your regions. And if that's it, thank you again, and have a nice evening, you guys. Thank you again.